was shot and killed by police. A senior police official in Germany told CBS News the suspect charged towards police with a knife, and police opened fire. Germany's interior minister identified the suspect as 21-year-old Abdul Balaut, a German citizen with Lebanese roots. Authorities believe he may have been motivated by Islamist extremist ideology. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz spoke earlier today and urged Germans to protect liberal values and said there will be consequences.
Tun, den oder die Täter so schnell wie möglich zu fassen.
Speaking in German, he said, "We will do everything in our power to apprehend the perpetrator or perpetrators as quickly as possible. We will consider the consequences and make our decision with prudence, but also with determination. These criminals, these extremists," he says, "have no place at the heart of our society," said Merz. Now, joining me with more on that is Anna Schechter. She covers crime for CBS News. Anna, what more do we know so far? Obviously, one person killed, over 24 others injured. This could have been a lot worse.
It could have been a lot worse. The suspect, Abdul Balaut, rammed his vehicle. He had rented that vehicle, rammed it into the crowd during that Pride parade. He was also wielding a knife. Now, then what ensued was a manhunt. He was on the run for hours. Finally, police located him, and I spoke to a Berlin police official earlier today who described how he essentially was charging towards police. He was wielding a knife. They opened fire, shot and killed him. So it's been a very eventful 24 hours in Germany there. Just very high tension around this issue. Germany has struggled with terrorism and extremism over the last 20 years. In fact, back in 2010, I covered al-Qaeda allegiance that was growing in communities in Berlin, but in other cities around Germany. So this feels like we're kind of returning to the past. It's also not the first time we've had a vehicle ramming in the region. So obviously, our hearts are with the 29 injured and the family of the woman who was killed.
We see the police presence there on video and the car. Obviously, the police using massive efforts to capture this person, and in the end, he was killed. 21 years old, German citizen, Lebanese roots. What is it right now that you know they are connecting him to Islamist extremists, and are they concerned about a copycat incident at this hour?
Great question. So police were interacting with him all the way back in 2019 when he was 13, 14 years old. He was convicted of assaulting another student in a schoolyard in Berlin. Fast forward, he started to get seduced by ISIS and extremist ideology. In 2024, he was posting ISIS propaganda on social media. Police didn't find out until a subsequent investigation because he was actually trying to join ISIS. He was arrested in Lebanon, extradited back to Germany because he's a German citizen, was convicted and served about 1 year and 10 months, and so was out. Another detail, in May of this year, police went to his house. They were investigating illegal possession of weapons. They only found a toy gun, and so that investigation was dropped. So he was well known to law enforcement.
Is this sort of a wake-up call because of not just where we are globally and being able to connect with people, but this idea that somebody can continue to look at certain material and be radicalized, if you will, not only happening, across the globe, but that's something the FBI talks about all the time here in this country?
Absolutely. It is a top concern, and it's because any lone wolf, this is a German citizen who grows up in Germany. Sure, he has family in Lebanon, and they may be going back and forth, but there are hundreds of thousands of people just like that in Germany. What's different about this individual is that he had a tendency towards violence, obviously, when we look back at that conviction, that assault conviction, and then that type of character tends to get more radicalized by extremist ideology that they find online. So how do you eradicate that from online spaces? It's really impossible. It's like a game of whack-a-mole. So even though law enforcement agencies, intelligence agencies work together, the Americans, the Germans, the British, to try to eradicate that, tamp down on extremist propaganda. And they successfully did that. They worked with tech companies. Facebook did a lot. ISIS propaganda was all over Facebook back in 2015. It's harder to find now, but it's still there, unfortunately.
How important is it to work with other leaders within the Islamic faith that are not extremists, because it constantly gets attached to this group of people, and everybody is not Abdullah Balat, who is now the person who, is suspected of having drove his car, killed a person, and injured 29 others.
That is a wonderful point, Jerika. I think it's so important that you made that. It is important for interfaith leaders, including leaders of the Muslim community, to come together and try to move forward and try to inspire people towards working together and living together peacefully and building community alliances, instead of kind of letting people fall through the cracks and move towards violence.
We know there will be a heavier police presence at the next big event, and this typically happens after something like this. But what else is being done to find these sort of, I don't even want to say isolated, because I don't know, as far as Berlin, how many other cases they've been tracking down, or sometimes they don't tell the public what they're looking into or things that they've been able to avert. But what else can be done to avoid a situation like what we saw happen last night?
Well, on some level, the investigative bodies in Germany were all over this guy. In fact, they just visited his home in May. They were aware, they were trying to monitor them, and you can see when you read the details from prosecutors, they were trying to balance personal liberty with security. And in this case, I think they were hopeful that this guy was going to reform, and the services that they provided were going to help him get out of this extremist ideology. And they were still watching. They were being careful. But there were laws in Germany, like here in the U.S., you have to have probable cause. I mean, they clearly had a warrant to at least, or authorization to at least go and visit him and search his home,
right.
And they didn't find anything. So this is really tricky. And I know when I talk to law enforcement here in the U.S., it's just these ones that slip through the cracks where they were even onto him, visiting his house, and then couldn't pin down a case, and then and then he goes and carries out this horrific attack that's deadly and maims and wounds 24 other people.
Do you think in the coming days we will learn more information about what he may have been planning in the weeks prior to this? Because if they went to his home in May, you would think, is there someone that's supposed to sort of be watching his home or his whereabouts, monitoring him in some way? And was that happening, perhaps? We don't know.
The big question, I think, is, was he working with anyone else? Was he finding community? And one of the German leaders at a press conference earlier today mentioned this kind of subculture that they want to connect with and try to help people get out of this. And so that, to me, raised a big question. Who else is in that group with him? Who else is consuming this ISIS propaganda with this young man? I mean, 21 years old, he's a young guy. We'll see what the investigation finds, but I think it stands to reason that he might have been communicating with somebody else online, and police want to know about that because they're worried about the next attack. You mentioned earlier concern about a copycat. That's 100% always on the minds of law enforcement. In fact, all throughout Germany and probably regionally, you're going to see beefed up security at all houses of worship, and high-profile potential targets will have a physical security presence.
Obviously, you have people mourning the death of the one woman and those who have been injured. What does this say to the LGBTQ community?
It's just heartbreaking that this was supposed to be a day of pride, of celebration, about all of the liberties that people do have in a country like Germany. And to have this wonderful day destroyed in this horrific, violent manner. Now, what authorities and officials did say at these press conferences is, we need to stand up for these liberal values. Don't be cowed. Don't be made to be afraid. So it's not the first time. We've seen Christmas market car rammings. I think the LGBT LGBTQ plus pride parade that was going on was a very specific community, and so to see that targeted, rather, that really hits home in a liberal democracy. It's just devastating.
And going back to the manhunt, we had some images of that up earlier. Can you just speak to those who might be just joining how intensive, how extensive, rather, this manhunt was? We're talking all of this happening in a matter of 24 hours.
That's right. And the police were begging the public. They put out his photo, a description of him, slim build, black hair, his height. If you have seen this young man or if you witnessed anything related to this crime, please come forward, because police knew that the rental car was connected to Abdul Balaut, but they did not even know for sure if he was actually the one driving the car, because the attacker had fled. So it took them a while. There were a lot of unknowns in the early hours, and even up until earlier this morning in Germany, police were still putting out that PSA. If you've seen anything, please, here's the tip line. We need your help to find this guy.
Yeah. Anna Schechter, thank you so much for all that you've had to say in terms of putting that into context for us. We're going to take a quick break and have an update on the latest, again, a shooting of a man who was accused of taking his car and plowing down several people, killing at least one person. Keep it here with CBS News. Your latest information always on. Thank you.
There's always something new under the sun on CBS Sunday morning.
We don't want to accept that there's evil that walks amongst us, but it does.
You know how when you meet somebody, you can't put your finger on it, but something's not right?
You never know what anybody is capable of.
I am a serial killer who's only killed once.
Did you think when this goes public, this town's gonna be shocked?
Absolutely.
When you're dealing with a 30-year-old cold case, it seems like there's not a lot of hope.
We knew there was a monster out there and we were gonna find him and get him.
Look at him just coming around the corner like that.
We started tracking the area.
When did this accident scene become a crime scene?
Police! You called him a lying liar who lies about lying.
Do you know why we're stopping you today?
What makes you so sure that you stabbed your sister while you were sleepwalking?
I never got a chance to see her one last time.
Such injustice. I can't believe they did this to her.
But no matter how hard it gets, never give up.
I'm Natalie Morales with 48 Hours. Did you have anything to do with Joanna Hunter's death?
This is a family that just wants justice.
It's time for the CBS News original, 60 Minutes CBS Sunday.
I don't really trust anyone. Those are the only people worth trusting.
CIA, new series CBS Monday.
Who's our victim?
33 years old, naval intelligence officer.
Looks like there's a story there.
Oh, wow, that's really nice soap.
How about I just give you guys the highlights?
Federal agents!
Everyone down!
The robbery and the murder are connected.
Genius, McGee.
Elite. Very elite.
NCIS is all new CBS Tuesday, 8/7 Central, and streaming on Paramount+.
Sunday morning, Cars for a Song. Plus actors Don Cheadle and Iowa Debris. Listen for the trumpet.
And we're joined now by the United States Ambassador to the United Nations, Mike Waltz. Good to have you here in person.
Thanks, Margaret.
You just heard our polling. The American people support the goals, the stated goals, opening the strait, ending the nuclear program, stopping Iran's ability to threaten other countries, but they don't think that the U.S. is achieving those goals, and 67% want to end the conflict now. What happens if the U.S. decides to cut its losses?
Well, I don't think it should surprise anyone that we want the conflict to end. We wanted this conflict to end since 1979. I think that's incredibly, but I can tell you as a veteran Afghanistan, Iraq, these wars, these endless wars, were the policy goals. What were we doing there?